Hi everyone, welcome to Tammy's Creative Cards and Crafts, and I'm Tammy. And today is another part of the series in the 10-part series of Beginning Basics. And this one is part 6, and it's called Cutting and Scoring. Now this one is not going to be too long because parts of the series in this one that I'm going to be showing you is pretty much basic stuff, but I feel that there may be a couple of tips in here that I could show you. And again, for beginners, there may be some things that beginners may not know of, so I felt it would be good just to show it anyways. So we will start with the cutting part of it. So the first thing that is an absolute must is to have a good pair of snips. And when I say for snips is for to do any kind of fussy cutting. Now I have this little 3-pack of scissors here. They're 3 different sizes. These ones are very sharp scissors. They're only used for my paper cutting. I have separate scissors for my fabric when I'm doing sewing, and these ones are specifically kept for paper. And when I'm doing little intricate fussy cutting out little pieces of, say for example, a little flower or something like that, I tend to use, I'll just show you here. So if I was to cut out this little flower here, I would tend to use these small little ones. They're incredibly sharp. And one little tip, when you're using or doing any kind of fussy cutting, use your hand, not your scissors. Let your hand move your paper around and let that maneuver on your scissors. If your scissors are incredibly sharp, it will do the work for you. So you barely have to maneuver anything around at all. As you can see, I'm barely have to open and shut those scissors at all because the blade is doing most of the work. And what I'm doing is just maneuvering that paper around and going around like that. But as you can see, I'm achieving a cut that is very close to the image that I want to cut out. So it makes it very enjoyable to do fussy cut, which I actually find very relaxing. A lot of people do not like fussy cutting, but I actually don't mind it at all. Like I said, I find it very relaxing. I'll take a bunch of things out sometimes and just take them out of my craft room and actually watch TV when I'm doing this, or not actually watching TV, but I have it in the background. But as you can see there, that only took me a second just to cut that out, but as you can see, I'm maneuvering my blades around the paper. I'm not moving and doing this, because what happens then is if I'm taking my paper and I'm cutting it like this, well then what happens is you end up having these jagged lines, and I'll show you. You end up having these jagged little jarred lines in your paper. And when you, if you can see that, I'm not sure if that'll focus. But when you're maneuvering your scissors around, it's just so much more smoother of a cut and just so much more precise. So when you're doing fussy cutting, maneuver your hand and the paper, not your scissors. So that's just a little tip. And only use your scissors specifically for your paper. Don't cut, don't use them on metal or anything like that. Keep your scissors, in good condition. And you can take a piece of aluminum foil, and every once in a while, just cut the aluminum foil, just a piece of aluminum foil, and it will sharpen them up just a little bit. But this is my my scissors, my 3-pack here, that I use for paper. And but yes, I do tend to like the smallest ones for fussy cutting. So moving on, I do have and I use the medium ones or the larger ones when I'm cutting, like if I use fabric, if I'm cutting out trim or ribbon, if I'm cutting doilies or stuff like that, then I'll use the larger things. But intricate stuff, I tend to use the little ones. And I think I picked up this little set at Michael's. It wasn't that expensive. So it's a nice little set, especially if you're beginning. If you're starting out and you want to pick up a nice little set of scissors, this set was pretty good. It's actually by Recollections. So the other cute little scissors that I find are neat to use are these. I have a few of these. Are these little fringe scissors, and you can get these in all different shapes. Now this one is a scalloped ones. I know I've seen them in almost like jarred packs where they have all different kinds of shapes. When you're cutting these, because they will lock on you if you're not cutting them properly, cut them straight up and down and try to keep them straight when you're cutting. So you want to cut straight, and wherever you stopped, line it up first, just like that punch that I showed the other day. Line it up and continue on, and then go up farther. Line it up first, make sure you're straight, and continue on, and do the exact same thing, and line it up and continue on, so that you get a nice consistent scalloped edge there, if you can see that. See that? And it gives you a nice little decorative edge on your paper. They're really cute. I have quite a bit of these. My granddaughter loves to play with these scissors, and they're really fun. So these are like fringe scissors. You can also, I also have the ones that they actually look like grass, and they make like a fringe on the bottom, and I use them to make grass at the bottom. But like I said, they come in all different shapes, scalloped, fringe, there'll be like a diamond pattern, all different kinds. And those are sold locally at any craft store. Usually, like I said, they come in packs of like 4 or 5 in a pack, and they're relatively inexpensive. So yeah, if you want to experiment with something fun to do on your cards that's inexpensive, pick up a couple of pairs of those. Now, when you're getting into making cards and stuff, you probably will have to invest in a paper trimmer. Now, my paper trimmer is, I'm just getting the glue off of here, is a Stampin' Up! One. And here is my little glue remover, which I will, it's just leftover glue from my snail because I was making a card here. And as you can see how easily this little tool gets off that glue. But this is my paper trimmer. I've had this one for several years. They actually have a new one that's out now, and I haven't picked it up yet. I know I eventually will have to pick it up because they are no longer selling the blades for this one. So I have some blades. They store them in the back here. And when I use up all my blades, I will then have to switch over to the new paper trimmer. So the blades are in the back here, and if you do own one of these, you will know that to change the blades, you pop them off down here. They just pop off when you get it down in this section. If I can remove it myself. I don't have the best hand strength here. Just a sec. And I'm on candid camera right now trying to pop this off. Anyways, this little thing pops off right in this groove right here. But unfortunately, because I'm trying to do it for you, I can't get it to come. Oh, there we go. It comes right off, so I was pressing in the wrong spot. So it pops right on and pops right off. If I press in the right spot there, you just press right there, and it pops right off, and you can take off the blade and replace it, and then pop it right back on to put a new one on. The same for the score. It has a scoring tool right here, and also it has this, I forget what this is called, but it's where it goes down in this little well here. It's like a guide for where the blade goes, and I guess it's a guide. So along your your cutter, it has, of course, the measurements. When you're having cardstock here, you would, say for example, making a card. So you would need something, say for example, 4 inches. So you would put your card in there, put that down, and put it right over to 4 inches. And it has the grid that goes up this way. You can see 4 inches down here. You can use it to, this one here is the score. So you can use that to score there. If you just wanted to score it, and it would make a nice fold. Or you can put it to 3.5 there. And you can use the blade and slice it right off. And this extends. It has an extension arm on here that comes out right to 14.5 inches. So that's fantastic, you know, if you're working with 12 by 12 paper, or even right up to 14.5. And it measures, like I said, it has a grid down this way, and the measurements this way go right down to 12 and a half. So 12 and a half this way and 14 and a half that way. So like I said, I've had this for several years and it's been fantastic. The blades last very, very long time. And yeah, it's great. The pros of this have been, you know, that it cuts and scores. It has a really nice cutting base here. Again, I mentioned 14.5-inch extendable ruler. The track there, this here has a little lock up here that this locks in place if you want to travel with that, so you don't have to worry about that flopping around. And this has a protective covering on here, so you never have to worry about these numbers wearing off, which is fantastic, because I'm going to show you another cutter here. And that was one of the things. See, I had this cutter, and you can see how the numbers wore off, and that was so annoying, because this actually cut fantastic too, but after a while the numbers wore off. Well, that's no good to me, because if you're measuring something, you need to be able to see the numbers. So what I end up having to do is, you can see the lines there. Sometimes when I'd be measuring something, I'd have to write them in. But this had a nice long extension arm on it as well. But yeah, it did cut and score great. But yeah, they rubbed off, so that's no good. And the other great thing is the blade store in the back. And yeah, so I really like this this cutter. It's been fantastic. However, there's lots of other ones on the market. I know the Fiskars one is fantastic too. I know a lot of people that have that one. And to be honest with you, I may not necessarily just automatically move over to the Stampin' Up! One. I may check out that Fiskars one before purchasing the Stampin' Up! One, because I know a lot of people that use the Fiskars one, so I may have a look at that first. So yeah, so that is the cutter, the Stampin' Up! One. I'm just going to put this blade back in here. There's one other little cutter I want to show you that I picked up. It's actually pretty neat. It's along the lines of the little fringe scissors. This one here, it's really different. Up here, it has it turns like this. And I'll show you close up. If you can see, it has all different kinds of designs. There's a stitched, there's straight, there's like all different curved cuts. And what's neat about this is, if I take my cardstock here and put that in here, and I turn it around to the stitch one, And if you can see that, I'm not sure how, it almost makes it perforated like a ticket, like it looks like it's stitched. It's very neat, this little rotary cutter. This one here, and that just slides right back in there, and you can turn it to another one. And then this one makes, if you can see, a little scalloped zigzag, like almost like a scalloped cut. And then this one here, stick that one back up here. Find a different one. This one more. And then this one is actually like a scoring tool, so you can score it there. So it's really neat, and I think I picked this one up at Michael's. It's by Royal, and it was really inexpensive as well. But you have 8 different blades on this. Again, it's not something that you need to just run out and get, but it was kind of like a little novelty thing, and it makes really cool effects on cards, and yeah, I thought that was really, really awesome, especially the stitched one, because you can just go down it once and it gives the stitch effect on your card, but if you go back the other way, it'll actually make the little cut like you would on a ticket. And the same as the scallop. If you just go one way, you'll give it an effect like it won't actually cut through, but it'll just give it a nice scoring effect. But when you go back the other way, it'll be that you can like perforate, so you can pull them apart. So, just neat. So the next one I'm going to show you now is the, let's see here, the scoring tool. And the one I have here is the Stampin' Up! One. And it's nice and big, which I like. I will tell you, when I first got this, I was not a fan of this. And the reason is because I always found, when I was using this, I still find sometimes that I cannot, that, you know, I have to take my time with it, because sometimes I'll be using it and all of a sudden my little ball thing will come out of the track. So this is the stylus that comes with it. It has a small little ball and a bigger ball on the ends, so it's double ended. And the tip with this is, on the smaller end, use the smaller end for the colored cardstock, because it's thicker, and use the bigger tip for the Whisper White or just regular white cardstock, because that's usually the thinner stuff. I think that I got that right. I may have got that backwards. I believe I told you that right. Because it's usually the colored cardstock that is thicker. Yeah. So the color cardstock, yeah, use the smaller end, and the bigger ball use the the white, because you don't want it to cut through on your paper. So what the scoring tool is, the scoring board is great for, is creating cards, boxes, rosettes. It fits paper that is 12 by 12, and it scores right down to 1/8 of an inch. So that, I mean, that is fantastic. And it has easy to read measurements that, again, do not rub off. And it also, now, some people may have the scoreboard and don't even realize this, but there is a little compartment up here. And I know people that have had their board and didn't even know that this was up here. There's a little door up here. My door just fell off here because I was playing around with it earlier. There's a little door. I'll fix that later. And inside, there's a little bag, and it has these little markers in it. And if I can get them open. Everything is taking time tonight. Okay. It has these markers. So what these markers are for, if you were going to be, say for example, scoring several things the same size. So say for example, you were going to do something that you're going to be scoring at 2.5, 4.25, and 6.5. Okay, so you put those markers in at those measurements, and then you, every time that you go to score that, I'll take a different piece of paper because that's not quite long enough. Every time you go to score that, then you have your measurements already marked, and you can see clearly where those are. So it's very easy to see your markers, and easy, just repetitive, to go exactly where those markers are and score down, rather than trying to carefully count across. Now, I mean, these measurements are easy to see, but these are very clearly marked, a lot easier, and it is easier to see those markers when you're just going across, and you can just, because your stylus actually hits that little marker there, and you can just score down. So it does help when you're doing that, those little markers. And you get 3 in the little bag. So those are a great little tip. Okay. The other thing that is helpful when you're scoring and after you use your scoreboard is, of course, a little tool that you can pick up. These are very inexpensive. Is a bone folder, and after you do your scoring, you want to really make those folds nice and crisp. So you would go over and just crisp down those folds, and you do this on your boxes, on your cards, and it just makes it, crisp and more professional looking on your cards, and just gives that nice edge on your projects. So that is the bone folder, and like I said, you can get these really cheap. You can get them at the dollar store even. They're a couple of dollars at Michael's. Yeah. So basically, that is the video for cutting and scoring. Like I said, it's not a long video. It's a video that I just wanted to show you a couple of little tips here and there, of things that, you know, maybe you didn't know, maybe you did, I'm sure you did, but for beginners, if they may have helped, and it's just a part of the series that I think that should have been included, and I hope there was some part of the video that you found helpful. Please let me know in the comments, and yeah, so that is part 6, cutting and scoring. If you're not a subscriber, please subscribe to my channel. Hit the like button and share with a friend. I am just over 400 now, which is absolutely fantastic. So I have to find as a fantastic prize to do as a giveaway, and I'm sure I'll be doing a video on that very soon. And if you are not involved in my birthday challenge yet, feel free to participate in that. My address is in the About section of my channel, and I would love for you to participate in that. I received my first entry yesterday, and but the mail is extremely slow. I'm not sure what's happening with that, but please do not leave yourself short for time on that, because numerous amount of people have sent stuff out, and I've yet to receive anything but the one yesterday. So with that said, that is the video for the series. Again, I hope you found at least one thing helpful in that, and I will be back with another part of this number 7 in the series, and hopefully you'll find something interesting in that as well. These items that I'm bringing up, are supposed to be helpful hints and tips, and just show people that are starting out and beginners, or even experienced paper crafters, maybe little tips and tricks that they may be able to use. I am no professional at any, I don't proclaim to be any kind of professional. I am a paper crafter, the same as you. And I am still learning every day, the same as everybody else. So I am only passing on what I know. So, with that, thank you so much for watching my channel today. And God bless you all. I send my love and hugs to each and every one of you. And please stay safe. And again, God bless. Bye-bye.